instructed to scatter the remains for the Neptune Society and other mortuaries around Northern California, but he wasn't doing it. The pilot is evasive tonight, the families involved are mortified, and the Neptune Society is embarrassed. Cheryl Jennings has more on the story that is getting stranger by the moment.
It certainly is, Pete. The pilot, who had been hired by the crematoriums to scatter those ashes, did not want to talk to us on camera tonight on the advice of his lawyer. B.J. Elkin is his name. He did talk to me by telephone, though. His actions have stunned the people who contracted with some 20 crematoriums to take care of the remains of their loved ones.
I'm feeling like the ultimate disgrace has been done to my dad.
Margie Holbert's father died just last September, so she made arrangements with the Neptune Society crematorium to take care of his remains for $500. What were you led to believe?
That when they picked my father up and he was cremated, that he would be taking his ashes by plane and scattered over the Lake Tahoe area.
Instead, Margie was horrified to watch television reports which showed piles and piles of cremated human remains in Amador County. Those ashes and bone fragments are on the private property of the pilot who had contracted with several crematoriums to scatter those ashes.
There is a hurt, a torment inside me, and an anger that I can't describe, honestly.
Jack Elkins uses his plane to scatter ashes over the ocean. He told me tonight that he hasn't used his plane to scatter ashes over his land in Amador County in 4 to 5 years. He also told me that he didn't do anything wrong when he changed his method and started scattering ashes on his land by hand from a Jeep instead of his plane. We've learned tonight, though, that apparently Elkin has broken a law.
He's broken Senate Bill 300, authored by John Ferran, effective January 1 of this year, which makes it a misdemeanor to commingle cremated remains.
Tonight, the director of the Neptune Society is moving quickly to clean up that situation.
I have called Jack Elkin, and we have made an agreement that we will buy the property from him. And so very shortly, it'll be in our name, in our control totally. After that is finished, we will be planting trees on this 10 acres, as many as the land will handle, and that'll become a park.
You know, if there is any reasoning in that hereafter, and my dad can feel or sense anything, I just hope he understands that, you know, we knew nothing about what they were doing.
A lot of other people feeling the same way as Margie Holbert does. By the way, the Neptune Society has terminated the services of that pilot, and it does not know whether it will file any legal action against him.
Curious question. How did they find out about this? How did we get this information? How did this become public information? Does anyone know at this point?
Apparently the neighbors on the surrounding property where the ground was littered, covered with ashes, complained.
And yet Elkin has an attitude about this, and he's wondering how people found out about it.
Well, he feels that he was sabotaged, and he won't say by whom.
All right. Thank you, Cheryl. In Amador County, the sad resting place for 9,000 people who wanted something, well, something more romantic in death to be scattered over the High Sierra. We begin covering the story of the misplaced remains 3 nights ago. It isn't getting any easier. Carrie Manley spent the day in the foothills near Sutter Creek.
What happened on this hillside has many people in Northern California angry and upset.
It's hard for me to fathom anybody being that ghoulish.
Piles of bone and ash litter this hillside. In fact, by one estimate, the ashes of as many as 10,000 people have been dumped here, ashes that were meant to be scattered over the High Sierra by airplane. The owner of this property is Jack Elkin, a commercial pilot. For the last decade, some 50 funeral homes and cremation services have paid Elkin to scatter human ashes by air over the Sierra. But Amador County Public Records confirmed that Elkin hasn't done the job. After a cremation, a family signs a form indicating the final destination for the ashes. But these forms have all been changed. The original wish blacked out. The ashes, instead of scattered from a plane, were dumped from a Jeep on Elkin's property. The mass dumping has apparently been going on for years, until this weekend when a neighbor wandered on the property, saw the bones and blew the whistle. And now hundreds of families are alarmed.
They should check with the mortuary who arranged the services and ask who did the scattering, and specifically if it was Elkin Air Services. If it was Elkin Air Services and it was over supposedly the Sierra Nevadas, unfortunately they probably have to realize that there's a very high probability that those remains are on his property.
I know I'm not alone. I know there's hundreds of others like me, but there's no dignity to the last wish that I thought I was performing for my husband.
For his part, Elkin says that what he did was legal. Some state and local county authorities disagree and are now investigating what legal action, if any, can be taken against him. In Amador County, Carrie Manley, Channel 7 News Tonight.
Legal, perhaps, but moral? Well, that is the question.
Officials all day today, and he's just back with the latest on that. Gary?
Well, Van, this is obviously a very emotional situation. Emotional not only for the people whose loved ones' remains were dumped on Jack Elkin's property rather unceremoniously, but also for the elected officials of Amador County who feel a sense of responsibility since all this went on in their county. And today, they set out to do what they could to make things right, or failing that, at least keep them from getting any worse.
Not being sure what action they could take, the Amador County Board of Supervisors instructed the County Council on Tuesday to investigate and make a proposal today. Attorney John Hahn told them quite candidly he wasn't sure the county's position would be very strong, but thought they could build a case against Elkin as a public nuisance for violating county zoning laws.
It's zone R1A, and it appears to us that the dumping of these ashes on this 9-acre parcel is part of a contractual commercial scheme, and therefore it's a commercial endeavor that's taking place on this property.
Hahn proposed asking the courts for a temporary restraining order, and the supervisors agreed, but they weren't satisfied.
I've been contacted by individuals in my district who have verified family members that are located on the property, and they're very concerned that their input is allowed in this matter.
At the moment, I don't think the county has jurisdiction to insist on any particular plan. I would suggest for your constituents that they get in touch with a private attorney and to file their own action or seek to enter into the arena, the legal arena in this matter, so that their interests can be protected.
And despite Attorney John Hahn's concerns about how strong Amador County's position would be, Judge Martin Ryan did grant the restraining order late this afternoon, and the Amador County District Attorney is still considering filing criminal charges against Jack Elkin. And that's just the beginning of his legal problems. The County Council figures that the remains of as many as 9,000 people may have been dumped on Elkin's property over the past 8 years. That could mean one of the largest consumer fraud cases in history.
And the work goes on that tonight.
Yeah, a lot of it today.
While you were up there talking to Amador County officials, Channel 7's Tony Russomanno was checking into the background and the story of B.J. Elkin and the operation that he's been running. And we have that report tonight, including what Elkin himself has to say about this controversy.
B.J. Elkin's Elkin Air Service consists of a lone Cessna Skylane tied down at San Jose Airport. The plane has been modified with a port cut under the cabin. A metal chute stowed inside apparently is designed to accommodate aerial drops of cremated remains. Coarse white powder and chips still cling to the metal surfaces. Elkin has remained unavailable to reporters who call and visit his Santa Clara home, but early this morning he called KGO Radio and denied on the air that he had violated any law or standard of decency.
On the permit itself, it says that description sufficient to identify final place and county of disposition. Okay, if this says mountains, how do you identify the place? If this says 6 miles from volcano, where is 6 miles from volcano? Now, I've inked that out, and I have put Elkin property. That a person can say, hey, my dad is right there.
Elkin said people around his land in Amador County started the controversy to drive him out.
What they've done, they have gathered these ashes up there, and they have hurt I don't know how many people. There is not 9,000 cremations up there, and I have a liable suit against the person that started that rumor.
Neighbors didn't want to appear on camera, but they said they did not believe Elkins did anything wrong. One man said he didn't even know about the ash controversy. The neighbor said, it's not like Elkins brings his work home or anything. In Santa Clara, Tony Russomanno, Channel 7 News.